As shutdown continues, millions of low-income tenants could be evicted. January 8th, 2019. The ongoing partial government shutdown has wreaked havoc on national parks, led to massive lines at airport security checkpoints, and resulted in overflowing trash cans in Washington, D.C. But if the shutdown drags on much longer, it's likely to have much more serious consequences. The Department of Agriculture Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps, SNAP, is funded only through January, the Washington Post reported. And without new funding, people in this country will go hungry. And depending on how long the shutdown goes, millions of people who rely on rental assistance could be evicted. More than 1,000 contracts with private landlords who operate subsidized apartment buildings for low-income people have already expired, and another 500 will expire in January if the shutdown continues, NBC reported. Those landlords will not be reimbursed by the Department of Housing and Urban Development for the subsidized units they operate until after the shutdown ends, which could lead to evictions. The 5% of HUD employees that haven't been furloughed are looking at all accounts for funding to reinstate those contracts that don't exist now to prevent evictions. In the past, no shutdown has led to evictions due to late payments from HUD. However, at 18 days long, this shutdown is now tied for the second longest government shutdown ever. And with no end in sight, the current shutdown could easily become the longest in American history. HUD has urged landlords not to evict tenants during the shutdown and instead dip into reserve payments, but it's getting dicey for some landlords. Adrian Todman, CEO of the National Organization of Housing and Redevelopment Officials, told NBC News that most property owners will be able to manage a month of missed HUD payments, but not much more. If this goes into February 1st, landlords will start to go berserk, she said. They have bills to pay too. Brown, the HUD spokesman, told NBC that landlords with unexpired contracts should continue to be paid through February, but one landlord NBC spoke to says she's already seen a missed payment. I checked the account several times today and it's not there, Melissa Steele told the station. When her colleague reached out to HUD to get clarification, she received an auto-reply message since most of the agency has been furloughed. If the shutdown drags on even longer, the lack of funding from HUD could also affect local housing authorities, which issue Section 8 vouchers and operate public housing. The D.C. Housing Authority says it has enough reserves to operate through March 2019. The Memphis Housing Authority has been paid from HUD through January, but would have to dip into reserves beyond that. And many other housing authorities are in the same boat. If the shutdown continues through February, we don't know beyond that what would happen. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and we already know Donald Trump threatened to keep it down, man. He threatened to keep it shut down. This is another article from curb.com. Government shutdown could lead to millions of evictions. Funding for HUD's rental assistance programs would lapse if shutdown drags on. January 7th, 2019. Entering its third week and with no end in sight, the partial federal government shutdown is putting millions of low-income tenants who depend on funding from the Department of Housing and Urban Development at risk. On January 4th, HUD sent a letter to 1,500 landlords who house tenants under various rental assistance programs, including Section 8 vouchers and project-based rental assistance, urging them not to initiate evictions for tenants over HUD funding that now has lapsed. According to the Washington Post, HUD officials didn't realize this funding had lapsed on January 1st, and the shutdown prevents them from renewing it. HUD officials are now tapping reserve funds and scoring for money, according to the Post. About 95% of HUD's 7,500 employees have been furloughed. The remaining 5% are exempt because they respond to emergency situations that endanger life or property. Among the routine HUD functions on pause due to the shutdown are building inspections for properties that receive HUD funding. NBC highlighted the consequences of a paused inspections with a report detailing how the floor collapsed under one privately owned HUD funding property in Connecticut that had been waiting for months for an inspection. Rental assistance programs continue to operate on the basis of funding that's already been appropriated or in the situations where life or property are threatened, but should be shut down. But should the shutdown carry on, much of that funding would lapse and HUD wouldn't be able to renew it while the government remains closed. According to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, local public housing authorities will be able to fund housing vouchers through February, but funding for capital improvements are less certain. Some smaller PHAs may also not have enough funding to continue normal operations. The longer the shutdown goes, the more low-income tenants are at risk of being evicted. Okay? And so far, there doesn't seem to be an imminent deal to reopen the government. The shutdown began on December 21st, 2018, when President Trump refused to sign a budget bill passed by Congress because it didn't include $5 billion for a wall along the southern border, which was his signature campaign promise. Hey, what's going on, brothers? Back at it. Thanks for tuning in to another dialogue with the Raw, the Real, and the Red Pill. Figured I'd drop one every now and then for the Raw's sake, for the Red Pill's sake. But I want to talk about this R. Kelly thing, man. You see, now, before I get into this, this message is going to be for men, okay? It's not going to be for simps. And it's not even for these women. It's not for weak-minded men. It's not for illogical men. And it's not for you bitch niggas. This is for men. Okay? We're going to get into this, okay? As you see, as the government shutdown ensues and the fabric of America is falling apart, simultaneously, we have this surviving R. Kelly going on, and kind of in the post-Me Too era, yeah, that's what's going on right now. And I want to shed some light on the ideas and the psychological conditioning that's going on behind this R. Kelly ordeal and what's happening in society. And what's happening overall is that okay, there's so much that can be said. I'm gonna try to keep it all together because this is kind of a rant. I'm just speaking my mind, which most of my content is. But what's happening is they're beginning the shaming of men who ensue younger women. Okay? That's what's happening. Because as we see right before our eyes, the things that the Raw, the Real, the Red Pill was talking about a year ago is now coming into fruition. We know that we have this partial government shutdown. And if it ensues into February, which I believe it is, okay? Because this border wall shit, it's all a facade. It's like the scapegoat for what the government actually wants to do. The real thing that's going on is that America is bankrupt, the white man is broke, and they can't afford to keep things running. And ever since the Federal Reserve was instituted, it was planned by the upper elites to bring it all down one day. We're in the day of in which it needs to be brought down. order out of chaos. So they are pursuing the chaos. And we all know in a chaotic environment, what then becomes of the woman? Yes, they become victims. They become vulnerable because society as we know it, which is a false matriarchal gynocentric society that the white man has engineered, uplifting woman worship, putting women over the men, that's soon about to be the fuck up out of here. That's not going to exist. So with this government shutdown, we're about to see EBT and food stamps get cut. And I read an article, and I read it to you all. More than one source is now saying that due to the shutdown, the partial shutdown, that HUD is no longer being federally funded. They realized that they're heading into a lapse January 1st. So this is some pretty new and fresh information. And while these stupid-ass women, as careless as they are paying attention to R. Kelly, a lot of them are about to hit the streets by the millions. These landlords are not going to be getting paid, in which they would actually find more of a prospect in short selling their properties. Common sense, right? Or leasing it to the general public, those of us who are working, those of us who are still got a grind going on. And eventually all the grinding is going to cease, because this is prophetic, the times that we're living in, which is one of the reasons why I've been spending more time on the Raw Hebrew page, to try to get more into scripture-based and prophetical based material, because we are coming into those times. We had the retail apocalypse. What was the latest place that shut down? We got Kmart, we got Sears. Family Dollar just went bankrupt. So that's going to be one of the next set of doors to be shut on the streets. But nonetheless, meanwhile, while the fabric of America is being unwoven, we're seeing the weakest links get cut, quite frankly, because the white man cannot afford to take care of these strong black independent women. What we're going to see is a lot of these strong black independent women on the streets. Isaiah 4:1. Anybody? It's all prophetic. With 7 women grab on to one man, claiming she would eat her own food and wear her own clothes, but only let her be called by your name. In other words, we are approaching this time in which, out of desperation, these women, their hypergamy is about to kick in. There's going to be a paradigm shift in the, I don't want to call it the dating arena, let's just call it the mating arena. Because a lot of these women are no longer going to have the essential needs in which they need to survive. And they're not supposed to. In a natural order, a woman is not liberated. In a natural order, a woman is not strong and independent. They are dependent creatures. And the whole ideology of her independence and her strength is through a system that enables her and uplifts her to make such radical, falsified claims. It's all bullshit, okay? Now, concerning this R. Kelly thing, as these women hit the streets, what the media is trying to do, because what man is going to sit around watching that shit? So it's geared towards the woman. What it's trying to do is give these women one last lifeline, lifeboat, psychological effort to shame the men in the coming times, okay? Because we all know, and this is where you need to be a man to understand this, women are to be virgins. Essentially, especially in biblical times, and even in non-Western countries, a young girl reaches womanhood in her menstruation. Do you understand this? That is the flower of her youth. That's when she becomes a woman. Here in Western America and other countries, 18 and over. But according to nature, it's when her eggs drop and when she menstruates, okay? Me personally, the youngest woman I ever fucked was 18 years old, and I was 19, okay? So we just going to keep it raw when it comes to that, And even in scriptures, it says, even though things are lawful, it is not expedient. So I'm not saying it's okay to go out and bang you a 15 and 16-year-old girl at this time, because you more than likely will be incarcerated for that. But in the times to come, when these women are pretty much brought to their knees, pun intended, all pun intended, and when the white man divorces this hoe, which we are seeing, it's happening. If you can't see it, you're blind. You're going to have a barrage of options, okay? It's going to be beyond what a hoe looks like, at least for me. It's going to be beyond looks. Because that same woman, and being in the red pill, as brothers, we know that these women are whores. We know that these women are ran through. We know that these women have multiple sets of DNA from other men flowing within their brains. That's why they're fucking retarded. That's why when you deal with women who have had many sex partners, they become demons. They become demonic because they have these ethers of other men within them. Okay? In an all hell breaks loose, shit hit the fan society, and shit is about to hit the fan for these women. Will you take a used up, I don't care how the fuck she looks, do you as a man, will you take a used up, battered and bruised ex-back page prostitute, ex-stripper, a baby mama, a woman who has had the flower of her virginity bruised and beat all the days of her life? Would you take that over a young, fresh woman whom has known no man? If you are, then indeed you may be a simp. You indeed may be a simp. Women are supposed to be virgins. Okay? They're only supposed to know one man. Okay? Sexual liberation was never for this woman. The white man gave her that shit. Okay? Through feminism. Through the white woman, Gloria Steinem. Because we all know that was funded by the Rockefellers and, the elites, social programming, to destroy the fabric of the nuclear family. And they did a great fucking job. And the black woman in general has been a great pit bull hound for the white man in this aspect. But as I was saying, you're going to have options, brothers, very soon. And what this R. Kelly, the surviving R. Kelly thing is doing is psychologically conditioning these women to shame you for taking the younger woman. Now, would you need to take a younger woman if we lived in a society in which these women were chaste? No. Not at all. Because you might be able to come across in that kind of society, and we'll even say this in biblical terms, if a woman was unmarried, she would be under the roof of her father and she would still be a virgin. So if you came across a 21, 22, 23, a 30-year-old woman under the roof of her father who was unmarried, she was still a virgin. She has known no man. No man has been up in her, ready to be trained, ready to be indoctrinated with your philosophies, with your mind state, to not rise up against you, to not be rebellious, to not have her own ideologies, but to take on the ideologies of you, her master, her Lord. You understand? In today's time, 2019, these women are beat up, bruised, battered, and abused because they are taught through their matriarchal gynocentric mentalities that they have that pussy power. And many of these women utilize that pussy power at a very young age to manipulate and attempt to dominate, and many of them do dominate these men, and to get ahead in life in general, using what's between their legs, that pussy power. You understand? So many of these women, in order to seek one that is clean, untouched, untainted, okay, a woman who's not a damaged good, because these women are goods to you. The woman is the glory of man, and man is the glory of the Most High. You got to understand this. You as a man, what type of man would you be if you take on a woman who's been ran through, experienced other men? You have some people that are more than happy to buy some, and if your situation leads to this, then, I'm not knocking it. This is just from metaphorical, reasons only. But you have some people who can, go to the thrift store, to Goodwill, maybe find something in decent to good condition. Some stuff you might find with tags still on it, if you're lucky. A woman who hasn't been utterly destroyed in a previous relationship and traumatized, through constant sexual experiences with various men, per se. Still used, but in good condition. But, when you get your bankroll up, you might be able to go into a Harold Penner, a Men's Warehouse, and get you some top flight shit. If you dig what I'm saying. Some untouched shit. Something that has not been manipulated or opened up yet. And that's what a real man deserves. You deserve that. You deserve that, brother. You deserve that. And that is the proper order and how it's supposed to be. But as I was saying, in 2019, what do we have? By the time these women are 18, what do they talk to? Go to college. So the young girls, or the young women who make it through high school in their chastity, they go to college, and what happens next? It's a motherfucking party on that pussy. They get turned out. Girls gone wild. You understand? This is the Western culture, to sexually liberate the woman. And she should not be liberated. She should be subjugated. You understand? You must keep your daughters in the straight way, that they may be a worthy handmaid and servant for the man who will come and take her off your hands. I have 2 daughters of my own. You understand? And I'm very hard on them concerning this, like a real father should be. But in 2019, as I was saying, you come across a 18-year-old woman, fresh out of high school per se, 9 out of 10, she done got, especially these days, they done got fucked already, man. They done experienced the sexual experience, more than likely on more than one occasion, in their young womanhood. These are young women. Let the white men tell you, they're kids. That's why I said this video is for men. These are ministrating young women. You understand? In any other society. And you know what? The ironic thing is, the white man says 18 and over. When it's a society we living in, fuck it. It is what it is. But he's running these child sex trafficking rings. You know what I'm saying? He's the real pedophile. Pedophilia is when you deal, and this an iniquity worthy of death, in my opinion, is when you deal with a prepubescent woman. That is a child. A woman who hasn't blossomed into the flower of her youth yet. She hasn't ministrated yet. That is wickedness. You understand? That is evil. That's a fucking pedophile. You understand? But as I was saying, in 2019, these women are bruised, battered. By the time they're 2021, they done had about 4 or 5 bodies already. Unworthy. Damaged goods. Okay? So we're coming in a time now where you're going to have all the picking and choosing. Okay? And what are you going to choose, brothers? Society is crumbling. If you can't see it, you're blind. Okay? Isaiah 4:1, 7 women shall come up to one man. The hypergamy is about to kick in because white daddy is divorcing them. Spiritually, in the eyes of the Most High, you wouldn't be wrong for taking a younger woman in her menstruation and in her womanhood who no man have known. Okay? That is the proper order. But you see these black women, these black bitches watching this R. Kelly and the white man's feeding that to her to get ready to shame you for choosing a younger, fresh maid over her. You understand? If you go to other cultures that are unwesternized, like I said, a young woman hits her womanhood in her menstruation. Granted, she might be a little dim in the head, but even grown women are dim in the head. They weren't created to be smart. They weren't created to be wise. Wisdom is not within them. That's why you have to lead them, okay? But in other countries, other societies, the flower of her youth, of being a woman, a young woman, begins in her menstruation, okay? That's something that we got to understand. That's why I said this video is not for simps. This video is definitely not for women, because they're going to shame you. They're going to say, oh, you're a fucking pedophile. No, not at all. Not at all. But I'm going to speak it how it is. I'm going to speak the truth. I'm going to speak it raw, and I'm going to speak it real. If you woman was fucking not ran through and saved the flower of your virginity, then yeah, we'll take an older woman. Not old, because a woman, we know they age like milk and men age like wine, But all throughout the ancient days, all throughout even the world, even to this day, women are married off young because her value and her virility and her fertility. Well, virility, pardon that. What the fuck is a virility? Well, her virility and her fertility is in her youth. Her eggs are fresh. There's less of a chance of miscarriage. There's less of a chance of mental retardation and health issues in the child. That is why women age like milk. So all these quote unquote bad bitches, late 20s, early 30s. You have even some of these women that get up in their 40s and they still want to be bad bitches. Walking around. Yeah, you might have a fat ass. Yeah, your titties might be sitting right. But what does it matter? If you've been ran through by cock after cock, you done got the shit beaten out of you by multiple men in your life because you don't know how to shut your fucking mouth, because you have this masculine ether from the chimera effect of other men's semen and DNA still being in you, brother, you deserve better than that. So when the times that come, seek purity, seek the untainted, and really fuck what these women think. It don't matter. They're going to shame you. If you're a 32, 33-year-old man, you come across a young maid, for lawful sakes, let's just say 18, they're going to shame you for that. But no, they're not going to shame Hugh Hefner. No, he was the fucking man. Because they're brainwashed. They're conditioned. Okay? So we got to get to the point where it's fuck their opinions. But I just wanted to talk about that. Give you brothers a heads up on what's going on in this society and what to expect on the shaming front from these women, because they're about to get fed this shit. They're getting fed this shit right now. Polygamy is about to come back in a major way, because quite frankly, what the fuck these women gonna do about it? You as a man, you are about to receive your Yahweh given right, your God given right as a man, that you may have more than one servant, more than one maid. You understand? And the pickings will be plenty. Choose wisely. But thank you for tuning into the Raw, the Real, and the Red Pill. And until next time, shalom.